Match week 21. We got a lot to talk about. So we're going to start with Premier League, where we'll brush through or breeze across the FA Cup results and then look at two big match weeks ahead, both in the midweek and then in the weekend, featuring, of course, the North London Daerby, as well as actually a Forest hosting Liverpool game, which should be a big one. Halftime will be Elon Musk related, as well as Compliment Corner. Around the world, just some thoughts on some MLS moves, along with El Clasico, and then stoppage time with Ivan Toney's best bets and everyone's favorite segment, GOAWs. Now, time to welcome in this week's panel of beauties. I am probably going to butcher the origin story here, Tyler, so apologies. But had you not gotten interested, so this is kind of a weekly what if, a personal weekly what if you had not gotten injured and started calling games on a sort of a whim during college, which led to, you pursuing your dreams and becoming the well-known high-profile commentator you are right now, what do you think you'd be doing professionally right now?
Either male prostitution or therapist.
Ooh, okay.
Helping
people out.
Yeah, we got.
I'm helping people out either way, but
fair point. Mitch and I got to watch out. I didn't realize that you were judging us on everything we say and the way we say it, and like all the.
You in particular. You need a hug.
I do. Today, I really did need a hug. Oh god, long story, but I've been on a plane, and the terrorists have been terrorizing. Anyway, Mitchell Goulet, aka Overtime Mitch, highlight / low light. Either or both from MLS Media Day.
Highlight, it's embarrassing, but like just getting sun. I've been up here in New York for however long, and I was down in Miami, and I got to like lay out on the beach for a couple hours, and that was magical. It turned my life around. On top of all of like the very high profile people that I got to work with, so that was cool too. No lowlights. I got compliments on my Ronaldinho jeans, and that was another highlight because I was really fishing for compliments on those. And I got a couple high profile ones, Jesse Marsch being one, and then Moranchuk being another one. So
nice.
I don't want to brag, but I kind of want to brag.
And then you also saw was there a handshake or just a sort of acknowledgement between Marsch and Berhalter?
No. It was too far away for a handshake. So we're in a big conference room type of area, and Berhalter and Jesse Marsch kind of walked by one another, and it was a kind of a high sign, an acknowledgement, but there was weight behind it. You could tell. There was like a really, really heavy nod to one another.
It's unfortunate we didn't have Tyler there to really break down the nuance of sort of.
I think we could have done a Tommy's Tactic Corner on it, to be perfectly honest. There was a lot of subtleties in the movements and in the looks in their eyes. Really special moment to be a part of.
We'll have to we'll look into the hypothetical of that one later on. All right. As always, this episode of Sam's Army is brought to you by Kick It, the all-in-one, go anywhere, on the go soccer tennis game. Tyler, anything else? Hit us with the highs and lows.
Coupon at checkout, Sam25 for their basic soccer tennis set, which is basically just like your starter set. And it's going to get you the low deal of $59.99. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your enemies, tell everybody. Okay, everybody needs Kick It in their life, and we're super pumped to be partners with Kick It, and not just some random partner who doesn't really jive with what we jive with, but Eli, somebody who is the founder of Kick It, is somebody who I became friends with in Chicago, and he loves the beautiful game, and he loves Sam's Army, and he loves talking about soccer and playing it and doing it and the whole thing. And it's a really cool partnership, and we're very grateful to be in cahoots, as some might say, with them. Cahoots was a big buzz phrase in Sam's Army before dark, which was what we were talking about before we came on the pod. But you guys don't get to know that.
Yeah. Doing hijinks, and if you got any Hanukkah guilt, throw it at the old
Hanukkah guilt or gelt, because Jewish guilt is one thing, Hanukkah guilt is another.
Irish Catholic guilt, Hanukkah guilt. That's the.
Okay. I'll get it through my mind one of these times. Pronunciation is key for me. It's always at the top of my list. All right, Premier League. So we are. I don't know if we want to call this like an international break light. That might be a diet international break. It's not quite that, but FA Cup, a weekend. So this was the third round. And, there's results high, low, and all over the place. I think the highest profile game we knew going into the weekend was going to be Arsenal and United. That was an interesting game. 1-1 after extra time, and then they went to penalties where United won. The other highlights / lowlights, I'll just throw them out now, and then we can circle back. Tamworth holding Tottenham Hotspur scoreless after 90 minutes. A bunch of plumbers and gardeners and whatever holding us scoreless. We then
big old beer guts were coming onto the scene late to try to win it for Tamworth. I'll tell you what, that was as embarrassing as a performance over the course of 90 minutes as I've seen from a Big Six side against a national team. 100 spots below you lot in the English pyramid. 100. That's not an exaggeration. I've told you a zillion times not to do that. 100 spots below.
It's bad.
Impressive. Very impressive.
Bad. It's bad. Spurs win, and even when we win, we still lose. It's very a Tottenham Hotspur thing to do. Although, speaking of losing, Brentford did actually lose. Not a moral loss. It was a immoral loss. They lost at home to Plymouth. Yikes. And so there's all sorts of other results, obviously, in the third round. There's many things going on. But anything we want to talk about? Let's start with Arsenal United. If there's anything we want to talk about there, there was a red card, kind of controversial, some goals, and then
was the red card controversial?
Was it? I mean, it was a second yellow, and I guess no, it wasn't. Now that I'm thinking about it, I was thinking of it was not controversial. But then Arsenal. From then on, Arsenal controlled the game and just couldn't put anything in. I mean, they scored like 2 minutes after the red card, but then they couldn't do anything else.
It was the worst thing to happen to them for the game to go 11v10. If that game stays open, they probably win it. But I think that given the fact that you're missing Saka and that they have struggled to break down deep blocks like that in the past, and particularly this year and struggled to score goals from open play, I think that was the worst thing to happen to them was for that game to go 11v10.
I did not watch this game, so I'm going to speak based off the FUTMob summary of it. But what stands out to me is the 3.22 xG, 26 shots, 7 of those on frame, resulting in 1 goal, largely after the red card too, because like you mentioned, United just kind of packed it in, and we notoriously cannot do anything to break that down if we don't have both Saka and Odegaard. Mm-hmm. If we don't have one of those, is not enough. We need both of those players to even have a chance at breaking down a low block. And 0.27 xG from United.
United looked like a lower division side chasing the game around when it was even strength.
Oof.
Like significant, like really embracing the underdog mentality of just not having the ball and trying to hit teams on the counter. It's tough to watch at times, but it's really not.
Is that what Amorim is trying to do?
That's what it looks like. That's what he did against Liverpool. That's what he did against Arsenal. Really embracing the embodiment of the FA Cup.
The one other thing I'll point out is the game-winning penalty was scored by Joshua Zirkzee, which there's some I don't know. There's some romanticism there a little bit after he got
a wish kid. He's a Premier League striker.
Yeah.
Why is
it's fair.
No
I just wanted to give him a compliment. I was trying to give him.
He's bad at football.
Is it compliment quarter already?
A penalty.
We're not there yet.
Forgive me if I'm not romantic about that.
All right, fair enough. I just want to give him a shout. Other games, we've already pretty much said all we need saying about Tamworth hosting Tottenham Hotspur. Just not good enough. Like, I don't really know what else to say. Yes, Big Ange did, sit a bunch of guys, but he then, he inserted Kulusevski and Son and people in time to actually make a difference, and we couldn't do it in regulation. So, if there is a highlight, it's not much of one. Bergvall, I'm in love with this kid. He's a baller.
Me too.
I am a huge fan of his, and he just keeps, I heard it on the broadcast that maybe that goal against Liverpool, sort of really sparked lit a fire under his ass. I don't actually believe that at all. Although if he had gotten that red card, we could be talking a totally different, having a different conversation. But I do love just how he's been playing since day one for us as a teenager. So shout out to him. Everybody else, get it together. Just get it together.
Definitely not the coach. Definitely not the coach.
Not the coach. Definitely not the coach. Where's my Kool-Aid? I don't got the Kool-Aid next to me. Brentford Plymouth. Obviously, there's a cup set every year.
It's not that embarrassing.
No,
they're a championship side. Brentford rotated. I think that it's level pegging with what Spurs did going 90.
I think it's worse. I think Spurs getting held scoreless after 90 is worse actually than Brentford losing at home. It's embarrassing. It's sad. It's sad. Yeah. Well, we'll just leave it there. I mean, it's FA Cup. We're still early on. People aren't even playing their first teams for the most part. If we're talking about Premier League, so we'll move on and we'll actually skip FPL because we already did that last week. We'll hit the preview, and this actually is kind of a big preview. Like I said, we got 2 full slates coming up on Tuesday, Wednesday, and then again Saturday, Sunday, and there are some big games when I was looking through here. So obviously North London Daerby will catch a lot of, get a lot of eyeballs and attention. We mentioned before getting on the program, might be the least sexy North London Daerby that we've seen in a little while. We'll get to that in a little bit. Forest host Liverpool on Tuesday. That's a huge game. West Ham host Fulham on Tuesday. Interesting point there. Graham Potter is now in with the Hammies. Brentford hosts City on Tuesday. Everton Villa on Wednesday. Like with Potter and West Ham, this will be David Moyes 2.0, his re-debut with Everton. Newcastle Bournemouth on Saturday. Aston Villa is visiting Arsenal on Saturday, and then United Brighton on Sunday. That's not the full, there's other games and there's some other interesting ones, but that just sort of gives you a little taste of some of the high quality games we got coming up this week. Now quickly, let's touch on the North London Daerby before we get to Forest Liverpool, because honestly, Forest Liverpool is it's probably going to be the just the sexier game at this point, maybe. But Mitch, any thoughts on the North London Daerby and sort of the way you guys roll or stumble into it?
Yeah, as mentioned before, we have trouble breaking down a low block without Saka and Odegaard, but lucky for you guys, I don't even think you can spell low block. So I like the way we set up with this one. This is going to be a really exciting game. I'm not going to say that it's going to be the best quality North London Daerby that we've seen in the last 2 or 3 years, but I think this is going to be open to nobody's surprise, and I would love to see the likes of Martinelli, the likes of Gabi Jesus, and anybody that can run in behind to do just that, because I think if there's an opportunity to march in and put a 4 spot up on a team, it's you guys.
I'm not going to disagree with you there. I mean, unless like Romero and Van de Ven just magically reappear all of a sudden, we're in a tough spot defensively. So I feel like, you guys haven't looked great recently. I really wish you had actually won that game against United. I hate coming against a team that, has quality off of a loss. I hate that, especially in a big derby game like this. I don't love it. I just don't love any. We just almost lost to Tamworth, something called Tamworth.
I think Spurs are going to win this game.
Oh, I love you for saying that, but I don't. What makes you say that?
Nothing.
Reverse.
Nothing. And I sometimes feel bad about having these types of takes, given the fact that I do this for a living. But even Tommy, who's going to be in charge of a club one day, has like a couple of times he hasn't given explanations for some of his takes. He'd be like, just gut feeling. Like, I think it was when we were talking about who's the better side, Bournemouth or Fulham or something like that. And I was just like, I think Fulham's side is technically more talented. He goes, no, but Bournemouth's just like better team right now. I was like, explain. He goes, just gut feeling. So if he can do that, I can do that. Spurs are going to win the game.
What gives you the license to do that?
because if he can do that, then anybody else can. That's what I'm saying.
Right. If the biggest soccer brain on the podcast can do it, then we can do it too.
It's a sixth sense. You guys wouldn't get it. It's something that you're born with. It's a Jersey thing. Yeah.
All right. Listen, I love your sixth sense. I just don't know how that happens. I mean, I guess if we're going to try and compile an argument, you could say, well, the fact that we did rest guys for most of that game, we got that going for us.
You guys are moments players, and I think you're less of moments players than United, and that's why you got your doors blown off by Liverpool in one game, and then you beat them in another. So in one leg, mind you. But yeah. Also, I've given Ange a lot of shit over the past several weeks. Can I just say, and I'm just simply going to raise the question, and this is tough because the only other person in here that's not an Arsenal supporter is a Spurs supporter. Is Mikel Arteta mildly one-dimensional? I'm just going to throw it out there. Why do you guys struggle with breaking down low blocks so much? Why isn't he maybe a little bit more tactically flexible? Why don't you guys maybe give the other team the ball a little bit more and kind of sit in and try to counter? You talk about Martinelli and Trossard and Gabby Jesus and these guys who can run in behind. Like, if that's who you have, figure it out. And if not, then move on from them because they ain't it for what you guys are trying to do on a weekly basis.
I would love to argue with you, but I think those are the players that we have to do it right now, for better or for worse. Like, I'm not going to try to sit here and defend every ounce of what you've just asked, because Mikel Arteta does have his shortcomings. I don't think he's one-dimensional. I think he could adjust a little better, and I think he could sub a little better. And I'm not crazy about some of the lineups that he's put out over the past 2 months. Granted, injuries, but I'm not going to use that as an excuse like other people on this pod. So I just think that the mentioned players in Jesus and Trossard, like, those are the ones that we have, unless the Ethan Nwaneri arc starts now.
But two of the biggest signings that you guys have made in the past couple of windows have been Yuri and Timber and Calafiori.
Yep.
Why are you just signing a million defenders? And now all these rumors are coming out about you guys signing another defender?
Because I don't have the checkbook. What do you want me to add?
I'm just saying.
The defenders that we sign play a really important role, and I think we
I don't disagree,
a really
but
specific profile of defender. I'm not going to argue with you that our shortcomings are in the final third. Yeah.
My guess, I'm just going to sort of get. I assume that Arteta sort of has seen, Martinelli and these guys, and he just has faith that they're going to continue to progress, and maybe they're not. And maybe he's just wrong on that.
This is that ego thing I'm talking about, man. Nobody wants to just rip off the mother effing Band-Aid. You know who's one of the best at that in world football, regardless of what division he's in, is Peter Vermees, okay, who's the chief soccer officer / coach at Sporting Kansas City. One of the best in the business, because he's the player who brings them in and is in charge of coaching them. If he knows within 6 to 8 months that they ain't it, he's not like sticking around being like, oh, I brought them in, I believe in them, blah, blah, blah. He sees it, he's done with it, he moves on. In a league where it's more difficult to, figure things out from a financial standpoint than it is in the Premier League in a quote unquote open market right now. So I think that people just got to swallow their pride. Like, and this is the psychology in me, man. I'm just sick of these egos getting in the way of people. And it's just, it's too much. It's too much. And I think that as shitty of a job as Ange has done this season, regardless of the injuries, I also think that Mikel Arteta, for losing 1 or 2 players at a time, again, not ravaged by injuries, but like an Odegaard here, a Saka there, figure it out.
Two most important players on our team. It's not an Odegaard here.
If Salah goes down, does Liverpool have as big of a dip as Arsenal has had with the Odegaard absence and with the Saka absence? No. You know the answer to that question.
You're also the best team in the league right now, so relax up
there. There's a reason for that.
Relax up there. Well, the best team in the league right now is coming up against according to the table, the third best team.
According to the table.
Yeah, well, that's what the table says. The table speaks.
If you want to do power rankings, let's do power rankings. I've never exactly done.
It's been a while. It has been a while. So you are heading to the City Ground up in Nottingham on Tuesday. The Tricky Trees, man, they just keep winning. That's all they do. It wasn't even like, an impressive win again against Luton, but like they just win. And
that's a Nottingham Forest who rotated every single member of their starting 11 and still won 2-0. You know what I mean? Like when a club like Nottingham Forest in the past rotated players, and the Nottingham Forest that was finishing in 15th and 16th and 17th in the Premier League did that, you might get picked off by a Luton, but they still get it done. And that's a belief within the entire system, 1 through 25. City Ground is going to be bumping. Biggest game that place has seen since the Cloughy days, since Brian Clough was in charge of the club. So like it's about to pop off. It's about to pop off. And I can promise you there's only one loss that Liverpool have all year in a real standalone game, not in a single leg against Spurs, and it's to Nottingham Forest. So I promise you that they're out for blood in this game. That much I can tell you.
So did that game, the real loss, not the asterisk loss, does that inform your sort of thinking on how this game is going to go?
No, because that was when Forest really didn't even know what they were at that point in time, right? Because we didn't, that was considered.
We certainly didn't.
Yeah, that was quote unquote bad loss at the beginning of the season, and that's the juncture of the season that I tell you guys about all the time. We're still figuring out what's a good loss, what's a bad loss, what's a good win, what's a bad win, and I think that was a moment where Forest were on the road, still figuring themselves out and how good they could potentially be, and still beat Liverpool. They're going to be at home. They might want to play a little bit. I honestly don't know how Nuno is really going to approach this, because I would have to imagine first 15, 20 minutes, Liverpool are going to come out pressing like bats out of hell, and they're going to want to get an early one and force Forest to come out of their shell so that it can't happen again. What happened to them, at the beginning of the season?
I would say, and I don't, this might be a hot take or might not be, I think playing at home is actually going to hurt Forest in this game.
But I think Nuno will know that, and I think Nuno will try to sort of calm the nerves a little bit and be like, let them come to us, because that was the only reason why we beat them in the first place. But I also think that they would be thrilled with a point at home against Liverpool too. If you take 4 points from Liverpool in your 2 games from them, you're fucking snapping somebody's arm off for that at the beginning of the season. So I think they would be thrilled with it.
And as much as I love overs, there is 0.0 chance that I will be betting the over in this game. I promise you that. So the other games from the midweek that, I have sort of bolded basically are because, Brentford City, just because we don't know what City is right now. They just beat Salford 8-0. What does that mean? Anything? Who knows? I do think that we will learn something about what City is when they go to Brentford this midweek. That should be interesting. But the 2 other games are both new manager bounce potential. So West Ham host Fulham, tough game. London Derby. Graham Potter, I believe, will be on the bench for that. And then Everton host Villa. And that's the start of the David Moyes 2.0 era. Tyler, any thoughts on either one of those? Actually, which manager appointment do you like more?
Graham Potter, without a shadow of a doubt. And he interviewed with Everton, supposedly, too, before he had even properly sacked Sean Dyche, number one. Number two, I feel for these Everton fans, man, because, you basically go from one caretaker manager and Sean Dyche to another, because you never thought for a second that Sean Dyche was going to be the guy long-term to send this club into prosperity in the middle of the table. He was never going to be that. And then you bring in a guy who sure has a lot of sweat equity with the club from, 2002 to 2013. But like Everton, with this new ownership group, and maybe this is another caretaker type situation with David Moyes. I don't know the details of his contract or anything like that, but it's like, fuck, man. Like, new ownership group, new number, who dis? But no, you're going back to a manager who has seen every square inch of this league, the good, the bad, and the really ugly. And it's like, come on, man. Like, just like Edin Terzic, I feel like would have been a really good signing for them, coming off of a Champions League final with Dortmund and obviously leaving in kind of bizarre fashion. But like, to go back to David Moyes, it just feels like a step in the wrong direction for a club that desperately needs a bit of a facelift. And yeah.
I mean, he to be fair, he did quite a good job with Everton the first time around.
Everton were a different club back then, though.
Right?
Everton were like finishing in like 7th and 8th, and like in Europa League, like they were a decent club at that point in time.
And he was a different person. Like, you age, and you know a lot of guys age out of being that Jose Mourinho. He's not Jose Mourinho 10 years ago. David Moyes, he's probably not David Moyes 10 years ago as well.
He's worse than he was at United. Like, it's just kind of a thing.
Yeah, well, he was handed a poison chalice, I would say, with that one. But yes, you're right. Any other games worth chatting about here? Newcastle, Bournemouth Saturday, or Aston Villa?
That's a good game. Newcastle, Bournemouth is a low-key very good game.
Newcastle's they and Forest are the only one that have 5 wins out of their last 5. Newcastle are pretty fully healthy, if I'm not mistaken, and they look like they have found exactly what they want to do with this season. Isak is flying. That midfield of Toney, just work engines in there. I really like the way they play, and they're going to be pushing up the table for the remainder of the season.
Is Isak the best striker in the world right now?
No, because I think
Harry Kane.
Gyökeres has that title, most in form, I guess. Isak's good though. I mean,
Who'd you say, Gyökeres?
Yes.
What
I was going to say.
What about Harry Kane?
He doesn't get talked about anymore. He's like gone off to this like little,
this foreign
pasture
place called Germany, yeah.
Austin's in Germany, and we don't see him ever.
I don't watch him all that often, and I don't bet him all that often. What's he doing, goal scoring wise in the Bundesliga?
I think
he's got 15 goals and 5
he just
assists.
scores. That's just what he does.
Right.
Here's a better question, better than the best striker in the world right now. Assuming, as it sort of sounds like, Gyökeres, how the fuck do you pronounce it?
Gyökeres.
We get it.
Gyökeres. All right, him or Isak? They both seem to be perhaps for sale. Which one would you prefer?
Isak, 100,000%. Gyökeres is what, proven in
the
Portugal
League,
and a couple of games here and there in Champions League. Yeah.
That's like, he has done it, to be fair, in Champions League.
He has. Yep. He showed up in the big moments that he's had. But
he's a Manchester United player. He's a moment merchant.
I think he's the most Manchester United player. I'd be shocked if they didn't send Højlund packing and give him the same exact locker. Like that dude screams Manchester United to me.
I mean,
I would rather Isak.
I wish he was. I wish we had gotten him instead of Solanke, and it would have made sense to go to a different moment team, and we'd get it. I really wish.
If I'm you guys, I'm not giving up on Solanke just yet. What do you?
No. I don't. I'm not. This isn't a shot at Solanke. This is. I'm thinking Gyökeres is better. But
how big of a fuck you would it be if Manchester City just went and paid 150 million for Isak right now?
Hilarious.
Would that even help them? I mean, their problem is everywhere else.
No, it would help them.
I'm sure it would. All right, fair enough. Other games quickly. We got United Brighton at Arsenal Aston Villa. Any interest?
I'm reading the chat right now. United Brighton. No.
Oh, we got the chat going?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, because you keep forgetting to switch it off if we're gonna record live.
Sorry, live stream.
Shit.
You get another one tonight.
It actually makes it easier because then I don't got to republish on YouTube. So there's like, whatever. It's total
That's not why you
brain fart. No, it's absolutely not. I just had no idea. Boomer Zoomer move it right there. Yeah. All right. Let's move on to halftime. So the big story, I don't know, a big story, an interesting story anyway, from a band's perspective at the very least, was the discussion of Elon Musk and Liverpool this week, with, of course, the news item being his dad saying that Elon Musk was interested or would be interested in buying Liverpool. Now, obviously, that comes with all sorts of grains of salt, but it was an interesting thing to at least thought experiment. And it got me thinking, if you could choose one person, just pick a person to buy your club, anybody in the world, who would it be? I think we got to start with Tyler because Elon is an option. There he is. He's right there for you.
Steve Cohen, owner of the Mets.
Well,
turned our club around in like 2 years.
Yeah. You would know. I was gonna say you've already got a little taste of him,
and he's just he just gets it. He's a family guy. He knows how to talk to athletes. He's willing to spend money, but he's not willing to spend it in dumb fucking ways. Like, he is the perfect owner, the perfect owner. Yeah.
It's big to say that when he hasn't won shit yet, but you're still on team Cohen.
I don't trust any other billionaires the way that I trust Steve Cohen, the way that I trust Uncle Steve.
Well. That's fair. That's fair.
He convinced.
Uncle Steve.
Put it this way. He convinced Juan Soto for like $10 million more to come to the Mets. Okay, the motherfucking New York Mets over the Yankees. You've got to be quite the salesman to do that. Because once you put on those blue and orange pinstripes, you're cursed for life. Unless Stevie thinks that he can reverse the curse, which is what he's doing. So,
okay,
he's my kind of guy.
All right. All right. Any thoughts on this, Mitch? I guess you could stick with your guy.
I have a couple questions before I answer. Does this person have to currently possess enough money to buy the club outright, Or is it somebody with, I don't know, enough money to where they'd be in the stratosphere of having a controlling share? Because those are two very different kinds of rich.
It is. And they'd have obviously.
The former, it has to be somebody who would actually buy the club.
I want to hear your answer, though, to the first one.
Well, John Cena is the answer for the second one.
John Cena.
For obvious reasons. I don't know if he's invested in sports teams right now, but he's somebody that I trust to do just about anything. I think it would reinvigorate the club as well. I think we've been in a bit of a vibes rut for a little while, and I think John Cena is one of the few people in the world that can take us out of that. And then I don't know. Anybody else that has enough money to buy a football club can fuck right off. John Cena is really the only person I'm thinking about for this position.
Mitch is a man for the proletariat. You are one with the workers.
Always will be.
Yeah. I don't really have a good one for this either. I was trying to think of like a billionaire who just like, because you need somebody who, in the Cohen way, he's willing to actually spend. Billionaires don't become billionaires because they want to light money on fire, which is in a lot of ways, owning a sports franchise. If you have promotion and relegation, there's a lot of risk there. Not just because of that, but like what's a billionaire that actually has something to prove and, is willing to just sort of lose money? I don't know.
Trump.
Is he a billionaire?
I don't know. Who's to say?
That's fair.
Then don't pick somebody with the pockets for it. Pick somebody who just purely based on vibes and leadership.
LeBron.
Sure. I mean, he already owns your club.
No, he doesn't. He owns like a tiny little part.
He owns you.
He can own whatever he wants. After the dunk he had the other night, he can do whatever the fuck he.
40 years old doing this shit.
Yeah. That's reserved for the off-topic chat, by the way, for Discord. And if you're not subscribed to the Patreon on Sam's Army, you should probably do so, because the Discord is by far the best part of it. And I promise you, it is going to become the coolest, most exclusive, but not exclusive, because it literally costs $3.99. It's cheaper than chips, as some might say, and that bougie cup of coffee that you're going to get in the mornings. Mitchell Goulet, I see you getting that extra large iced mocha frappuccino from Dunkin' Donuts. Okay, that costs $6.99. This is $3.99 a month. All right, that's it.
It's 2 months. It's 2 months right there, down the drain every day. Good shout. Good promo. Well said. Now we have to do compliment.
Can I give a real quick weekly what if? This is something that I posed in the Discord as well, but I've been asking to a lot of different groups of people, is if you could own one piece of sports memorabilia, but it has to be from your rival club, what would it be? You guys.
Such a good question. It really is I said in the Discord I would go with Memo Ochoa's pube puff. I would wear that thing around, because first of all, that's definitely a wig, and second of all,
Bruno Fernandez's captain's armband.
That's a good one.
Also, we're not allowed to publicly say what Mikey's was. It's in the Discord though, and if you want to know what it is, then I suggest you pay the $3.99 a month, because it is one of the darkest, most heinous comments I've ever seen in my entire life, and it still keeps me up at night. So
laughed out loud.
For the record, not a current Tottenham player, but yeah, it still works. It still plays, and I still gave one of those faces like, whoa, that was. I fly too close to the sun sometimes. That one's up there.
I thought about booting him, and I don't even know if I'm a moderator.
All right, quick compliment corner this week. The first name that came to mind is Mikel Arteta. I feel like we got to give him a little bit of a pat on the back after, questioning his tactical however you pronounce it, Nous. So Tyler, what's something nice that you would say about Mikel Arteta?
He has brought Arsenal back to the best that they could possibly ever be, which is like in second and like Champions League quarterfinals.
That started so complimentary and went backhanded real quick.
Oh God, that turned real quick. You had me on a roller coaster there.
I thought that that's like my vibe now. Like I'm the
It
guy
is.
I'm the guy who gives you the crazy parlays, which hit by the way now, as well as I don't actually give you a compliment corner. I still slap you across the face.
Yeah.
You listen. It's your vibe. It's your thing. Backhanded compliment. That was a good one. You had me in the first half.
Yeah.
Well done. I will just say the best. He's got some of the best hair. That guy's hairline is just. I don't even think he went to Turkey, but it looks like he went to Turkey, which that's a compliment.
No, he's had that hairline since like he was 3.
Yeah. I'm sure he probably came out of the womb with that. That's impressive salad right there. Mitch, any nice thing you want to say about your boy?
Kind of what Tyler said, but in a little bit more of a genuine and optimistic sense, that he has brought my club back from a really dark period and is now not finished with this project, and we have not hit a ceiling, as you guys may imply. He's got us on the right track. He's got us as one of the most important clubs in Europe again, and it feels great. I'm not going to say that, we're winning this or that this year, but it does feel like we're on the right path. And that's more than I can say for my club before he took it over. So, you look big picture, and he has made drastic improvements. So we appreciate you for that. And your just piercing gaze. You look at that guy in the eyes and it's like, whoa.
Can I ask you a question? When does this whole bridesmaid but never the bride act get tiresome for Arsenal fans?
After next year, realistically.
Okay. Because if you're saying we're not winning this or that this year, then
it's not looking hopeful that we're going to win this year.
That's 2 solid years of falling short.
I'm very realistic about that. If it's after next year and we still look like we've plateaued creatively and we're not making signings that we think can really push us over the edge, I think it's time to go our separate ways lovingly.
There it is. There's the timeline. Fair enough. Now, quickly, we will do round the world. Make sure I'm not missing anything in the chat. Doesn't look like it. Okay. So, round the world. There's been some interesting moves on the MLS front. So I figured we'd get the Minuteman's thoughts quickly in typical hit it and quit it fashion. Perhaps starting with the move whereby RSL sent Chicho Arango to San Jose. What did you think about that?
Oh boy. I'm serious. Like that was one of the more shocking moves I've seen in an offseason in a long time, both due to the fact that it was within the league, number one, and number two, given the fact that RSL, like, he was their big money signing because they brought in this new ownership group, the Blizzard Group, and they spent all this money to bring in Chicho, who obviously was great with LAFC, and then he leaves MLS, and then he's willing to come back and to be the man at RSL, and he was so dominant through the first half of the season. And then a couple of things happened here and there, a disciplinary issue here, a little bit of frustration there, and he went beyond the ice cold, to the point where he wasn't even involved in the buildup anymore. And it was just really, really bizarre. And now for him to leave for peanuts effectively, which is 1.5 million in general allocation money, and an international roster spot, which is basically just like, a couple of dude wipes. It's just like, and they're not a sponsor, by the way. It just doesn't really make sense to me, but I'll tell you what, he does fit in painfully well with whatever system Bruce is going to run in San Jose, which is probably going to be based upon athleticism, route one, and really just getting balls in behind and back pressing that way. So I think it works for San Jose and for Bruce, but just really bizarre that project is basically already over within 18 months. Another one, Jesus Ferreira going to Seattle Sounders. I think we talked about it briefly on another pod. I think that it makes sense for Jesus to leave. I'm a little surprised that A, it's in MLS, and B, it's with Seattle, because like Arsenal, they can't break down low block. They have a really, really difficult time doing something like that. And I think that Jesus has a difficult time when he's not in space either. So I think that that's a little bizarre. hearing that Atlanta United are in for the striker from Middlesbrough. I don't know exactly how to pronounce his name. I think there's like a latte in there. It's an Latte. He's got like 4 different names or something along those lines, but apparently it would be a really, really significant signing. And the other one to keep an eye on is like FC Cincinnati made the MLS record transfer fee for $16.5 million for Kevin Denke. You know, he's a striker who supposedly is worth the money. Remains to be seen. He's coming from Belgium, and you know the Chicago Fire signed a Belgian striker who has not lived up to the hype just yet, in Ugo Kuipers. So miss me with that for the moment. 2 other big things to note. Number 1, Sebastian Driussi of Austin FC, who they were trying to get rid of, and I just recently talked with Nico Estevez, new head coach of Austin FC, on SiriusXM the other day. They bring in Brandon Vasquez, but with the hope of getting rid of Driussi, and he wants to leave. He has not shown up for preseason yet. They do not have a agreement with Boca Juniors, and that was not part of the deal with Driussi and his camp. Like he's meant to report to camp and play if they don't reach a deal that they think is lucrative enough for Austin FC, and they have not, and he's still not showing up. So now the league is going to have to step in and start to reprimand him. Number 1, Lucho Acosta of FC
I was just going to say same thing.
Also doing the same thing. So it's really fascinating, particularly, you know, it's a couple of Argentinian guys who really want out, who want to go back to Argentina. And I might have those mixed up. It might be Driussi to River Plate and Lucho Acosta to Boca, or Lucho Acosta down to Brazil. But either way, really, really interesting. And this is not the first time that that's happened, but it's 2 really big players, in particular for FC Cincinnati, when Pat Noonan basically came out and was saying, like, I'm looking forward to seeing him. And this is a guy who was on pace to potentially double up his MVP before he got hurt and dipped in form a little bit at the end of this year. He was very much in the running for a back-to-back MVP sort of couple of years. So a lot of interesting action, and I think that MLS is very much up in the air right now in terms of who's going to be the dominant factor and who's going to potentially come up and surprise you. And San Jose's been making some moves. I would not be surprised if San Jose sneak in as like a 10 or a 9 seed under Bruce, because he's getting very specific players coming over from New England who loved playing for him before he eventually, you know, had to resign and the whole thing. So fascinating time to be alive in Major League Soccer.
San Jose has been so bad for so long. Bruce wins in MLS. Like, that guy is an MLS winner. I'm interested to see what happens there. But yes, it's too bad we're, you know, about losing guys like you don't want to lose guys like Lucho Acosta when they come back to the league. That's a guy that puts butts in seats.
He's been weird for the past 6 or 8 months. He's come out and said that he's had some issues off the field. He didn't show up for media at the end of the season, which most players did. So it's been a weird one with him. I don't know exactly what's going on there. I'd love to get the full scoop at some point in time, and hopefully our boy Tom Bogert will do that. And if you missed that episode, go check it out. Really good interview with Tom Bogert talking about U.S. men's national team January camp, as well as some other MLS stuff. But hopefully the truth comes out on that, because it literally went from this incredible love affair and him dominating the league for 2 years, or a year and a half, I should say, to him really falling off and Cincinnati getting bounced by NYCFC at home. Yeah, really, really, really weird one.
All right, last news and note from around the world. We had a El Clasico today, in fact. It was not played in Spain. It was played in Saudi Arabia. But it was a hell of a game and a hell of a life comes at you fast moment for Real Madrid, who went up 1-0 on a hell of a goal. Let's be serious about from Mbappe, who's caught a lot of grief for his lack of productivity lately. But man, things went downhill quickly and precipitously from there. They ended up losing 5-2. I guess, I don't know. Did it? First of all, did that result feel like a sort of microcosm of where these clubs are right now? Do you see
100%?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then second question, did that game and just El Clasico in general, does it still have the juice for you guys? Is it still like I have to watch this?
No.
Or no?
No, there's no game on earth that can draw me to that draws me in the way that game did from
Ronnie
2000 to 2020 or whatever it was. And then Liverpool and City in the way that they did that from, 17 and through 21, 22. There's no game that draws me in like that anymore.
Right. period.
I
Anywhere.
don't think it's a slight on the current players on Real Madrid and Barcelona. I think that's more of a comment on just the quality that both of those teams used to have, the world-class talent both of them had across their 11s. Now, each team has 3 or 4 world-class players, not 11 of them on either side.
And it's not 90 minutes of on the edge of your seat and like you
Right.
literally don't want to go to the bathroom in the middle of the game because you're afraid you're going to miss something, which is
Yeah.
how I felt during Manchester City and Liverpool and during the old days of Ronnie and Messi.
Yeah, it's actually interesting to compare those two rivalries because City and Liverpool is different in the sense that they didn't have the Ronnie Messi sort of aura that brought with it, and yet they still, I think it's a fair comparison.
It was the two similar but contrasting styles that led for like it was just the most beautiful game to watch because it was like
going to have fun.
It was so much flow to it, and it was like 15, 20 passes, chance here, 15, 20 passes, chance here, turnover, chance there, turnover, chance there. Like there was always some end product that was happening, whether it was like a great piece of last ditch defending or like a move that ended up with a shot on frame or a shot just off target. Like you always knew that the final product was coming at some point in time.
And in the little duels in those types of matches, you saw the quality. You see it in the very small moments that in maybe another match, call it Liverpool Brentford or something, you may not. And I just feel it felt like everybody got up for those games. And Tyler's right; it's the contrasting but also similarly active play styles that made those ones fun.
Fair enough. We'll move on to stoppage time. Well. I wish I had the hat, but unfortunately I'm out of town. I'm traveling. I don't have the hat. So last week started out a little rough. Started out 0-2. Wasn't looking great, but in the Discord I mentioned Tyler Taryn's money back guarantee for these next 3 games, and it came good. We entered the week 3-2. So I'm going to call that a bit of a tie, but we feel good. Feel good with 3 in a row coming into this week. And I like the picks we got coming up this week. So remember, overtrain, 5-a-side, best bets, Wednesday through Sunday. These are all going over. Wednesday, we're starting with Werder Bremen hosting Heidenheim in the Bundesliga. Thursday, we are going to the Netherlands, the second division. Eerste De Graafschap is hosting Heracles. Friday, Western Sydney Wanderers hosting Central Coast Mariners in my beloved A-League. Saturday, Hamburger hosting Cologne in Bundesliga 2. And then finally, we are going to Cyprus on Sunday, Ethnikos Achnus hosting AEL Limassol. Going 5. I feel like a 5 for 5. It's been a while since we had a 5 for 5. I'm feeling good with this week. So let's get that. Mitch, what's your Ivan Toney's best bet of the week?
Someone in the Discord mentioned that we should make a graphic for these and kind of keep a track of who's our.
We do need to do something.
We do need to do that. It's a great suggestion, and we are open to many more suggestions only from Discord members because they pay us money and we do what they say. All right, there's 4 games here.
We dance.
All of these are both teams to score. All 4 of these games.
Ooh.
Yep, I like this. I like this a lot. Marseille, Lille, Arsenal, Tottenham, Brentford City, Stuttgart, Leipzig. Those are either on Tuesday or Thursday. I'll repeat that real quick. Marseille versus Lille, Arsenal, Spurs, Brentford City, and Stuttgart, Leipzig. Both teams to score.
I like it. I like the fact you think Tottenham's going to score this week. I like that. I like where your head's at. Yes, I like all those picks. And by the way, I misspoke. The game on Thursday between De Graafschap and Heracles is actually a cup game, not necessarily Eerste Divisie. And I realized that because I think Heracles is actually in the top division right now. Anyway, moving on. Tyler Terrence, what is your Ivan Toney's best bet of the week?
All right, so we're getting a little crazy with this one. By the way, if you missed out on last week's parlay, I sincerely and truly feel sorry for you because it was juicy as fuck. So we're getting even juicier, okay? It's draw season, right? Everybody coming off of FA Cup games, everybody really not feeling themselves all that much and just sort of slogging, just trying to get through the game, all right? 3 draws back to back to back, all right? Chelsea hosting Bournemouth, draw. West Ham hosting Fulham, draw. Everton hosting Villa, draw. Plus 49.05, $5 to win a cool 250.
You are huge for your britches right now.
That is a sicko move right there.
Yeah.
Was it last time? It was what, 1900 was your parlay?
Yeah, 19-1. Yeah.
You might know the exact score at this point. I mean,
yeah. He's on heat check mode at this point. Heat check mode. All right. Everybody's favorite segment, GOAWs. I got a couple written down, so I don't want to take yours. Tyler, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'm giving it to our boy who's a plumber, center back for Tamworth, who won man of the match. And he goes by the name of Hayden with no E. Hollis, Maradoning his way out of trouble and a couple of Spurs buffoons trying to press him. And he was just like, oh, wait, hold my plunge. And he just sidestepped his way out of trouble in Tamworth. Led him to a clean sheet over the course of 90 minutes. I mean, that is what the FA Cup is all about. And this guy, his path is phenomenal. I mean, I feel like this is the type of path that when Mikey's playing Football Manager, that's where he sort of plucks his players from and hopes that they eventually one day win a Champions League title for Leyton Orient. So he started in the Notts County Academy and then made 118 caps for Notts or appearances. And then he got loaned out to the likes of Barrow, Hinckley United, Darlington. Then he was with Forest Green Rovers on loan at Chesterfield, full-time at Chesterfield, then Ebbsfleet United before a quick stop at Dorking Wanderers before he eventually went to Tamworth, who just recently got promoted and almost gave Spurs a proper run for their money. So shout out to Hayden Hollis. Incredible.
Wow. You know what's sad is that I've bet on almost every one of those teams that you just mentioned right there. Ebbsfleet, Dorking, you kept naming them. I was like,
teams are, yeah.
Yep, I know. Well, shout out to him. I know the exact play you're talking about too, because he did it like 25 yards from his own goal, no less. Well played, sir. Okay, good Goa. Mitch, who you got?
Proper ball playing center back. We love that. My Goa this week is the notorious MMA Conor McGregor, who suited up for a Sunday League game in the most expensive cleats on the field, I assure you. But he suited up for Black Forge FC, rocked the number 11 kit, and played exactly how you would expect a UFC player to play football. Incredibly dangerously and hectically. The dude was jumping two-footed into slide tackles. He did side volley somebody, I think, in the stomach. And I wouldn't be surprised if he was on some type of enhancement for this game because the dude just looked like a nut job. But I would absolutely love to play Sunday League with Conor McGregor. I think that'd be a damn delight.
I prefer to be on his team and not against him.
On his team, yes. Defender correct.
Agreed. He played. First of all, you said it right. He played exactly how you would expect an MMA guy to play, like straight physical. I saw some of those tackles. I saw the side volley that basically took a dude out. His touch was okay. I saw a couple plays like
you're talking about that one outside of the foot.
Yeah, that was it.
Good.
Which he followed up with a 2-footed challenge.
Right,
but, you know.
There's clearly some technical ability there. He's clearly kicked a football before, but I think he might be a little rusty to call his touch okay.
Yeah. I might be giving a little too much there. Fair enough, though. Good shout. Conor McGregor playing. He's not just out there, two-footing Bukayo Saka. He's actually doing some stuff. So shout out to him. My go is I'm going to give a honorable mention to a guy named Aaron Morley, which is this guy had one of the strangest weeks, or maybe 2 weeks. Nope, he had the strangest 4 days anybody could have. So he scored 2 game-winning goals in stoppage time on January 1st and January 4th for 2 different clubs. One was Wickham and the second one was Bolton, and he transferred in between. Oh, wait, it gets weirder. They were both against the same club, Exeter City. So he scored 2 game-winning goals stoppage time against Exeter City in 4 days.
Oh, no.
How insane is that? That's just,
talk about part ownership in a club. I mean, he should have at least 1 share.
Seriously. He's going to own beachfront real estate anyway in Exeter City fans' mind for some time to come. So shout out to Aaron Morley. It's tough, actually, to just give him an honorable mention, but the actual Goa has to go to Neymar listen to his stats for 2024, year of our Lord. 42 minutes of soccer played, $101 million accrued from the Saudi league or Saudi club that he plays for, Al Hilal, I think. Just an insane. I mean, the bag that he got and the amount of effort he put in. I know that guys, we would talk about the all-time bag getters. That is just incredible. I think he's had more kids over the last couple of years than he's scored goals. So just, I guess that 101 million, might go pretty quick.
Speaking of Saudi Arabian teams, I was playing seasons mode in FIFA the other day, and I was playing as your Spurs, as I sometimes like to do, Sam. And I got beat by Al Ali, and I rage quit after I was down 4-2 in the 92nd minute. So your team can go fuck themselves.
I mean, we've had worse losses, I feel like. Well, boys, you guys are the best. Tyler, Mitch, thanks for staying up late on a Sunday to get this done. Everybody in the chat, I love you dearly. If you're not in the chat, you should be in the chat. And you get in the chat by getting the Sam's Army Patreon, which gets you into the Discord and the chat and the bonus episodes. And Tommy's Talking Tactics blogs to raise your soccer IQ. So if you're not Sam's Army Patreon member, come on and join us. That's all we got this week. We'll be back bigger, better, faster, stronger again next week. Stay beautiful. Be off? I think so.
Love it.
Yeah.
Go get that nut, Mitchell.